Hello and welcome in. I am MissKinghorn and we are back here in The Sims 4 where we're working on this large family farm. Now, I say it's large. It's a lot, but the house is actually quite small. Into here, it's one of those lots where there's a lot going on, but the house that we're actually building is quite small. It is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom family home. So yeah, as I say, it is quite small, but we get a lot packed in there. So we've got sort of crops growing in the garden, we've got horse stables, we've got cows, all sorts of bits and pieces. This was actually built for a friend of mine, and this is actually their house. I kind of taken inspiration from kind of their farm here in the UK. So yeah. It's not quite right. It's as close I think as I could possibly get in the game to what they have in real life, which is a bit of a shame because I would have liked to have actually completely done their house, but it's not quite right. So some of the things that are different are the sort of conservatory, sort of this back dome you can see here. Their one is a little bit longer. And it sort of sticks out more, but because it is a glass roof, I had difficulty trying to get different roofs in. You can sort of see it here, and that was kind of me playing around. I kind of did it quite small and then thought I'll just enlarge it. Didn't really work out that way, so it had to be quite a small conservatory on the back. I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't really make much sense as a room because you can't really use it. It's just kind of there. Unfortunately, it's a weird one because it's not really worth putting anything in it, but it's a little bit of dead space. I could have got rid of it completely, but I built it, so I thought I might as well pop it in there like that. So yes, as I say, this was supposed to be done when Cottage Living came out completely, but I forgot all about it, and then my friend mentioned it the other day. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll work on that, and then finally managed to do it the other week, and yeah, this is the results in here. So we've got stables, we've got crops, cows, all the sort of animals that they have on their farm, just a little bit smaller scale, unfortunately, into there. But yes, this is pretty much, I think, as close as I can get it into there. Trying to fight with this system here to get these comes in. The ones that, I mean, I could have used the bricks that come with these sort of on the sides, but they don't look quite right. And because I have like weird little pop outs in places, it kind of wanted to put it everywhere, or you weren't having any of the sort of corner pieces, which didn't really make much sense to me. So I've just gone along and put them in here, going sort of back to the old school way of doing it with the pieces from Jungle Living. I still like that pack, I've got to be honest. I know it's quite an old one now, but I feel like there's some really good items that came with that pack. So happy to get those in, and now we're working on the sort of front sort of garden aspect of this build. Now this building is, as I say, is quite a big lot, but we kind of try and make it as homely as we sort of possibly can into here. And one thing that a lot of farms, especially sort of in my local area, have is they have like a private kind of like front or sort of garden area, and that's what we're really working on here, where like kids can play safely, or you can have like your dogs running around sort of loose and doing things like that without fear of them being like in the way of tractors or cars or the crops or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing here. Now my friend doesn't have any children, so there isn't necessarily a need for some of the stuff that we have in here, but because I kind of wanted to make it as a family farm and kind of have a nice sort of fun little area, I have put some kids sort of toys and activities down in here as well. But I felt like a really nice little private space for them to kind of run around and stuff in here as well. I do also add a small back garden, which kind of has basically like more of the same sort of stuff, just some simple little planting, and also like a washing line and things like that as well, because you kind of need those in here to be a little bit more realistic. Now at this point I wasn't really sure what kind of family was going to go into here. I didn't sort of make my friends in CAS or anything, so this is just kind of a random family that I found that kind of fitted what I eventually built in here for them. So we have, I've kept kind of the bedroom upstairs a little bit neutral, you'll see that later on in here, but the sort of garden has lots of little bits and pieces. I don't know at this point whether it's going to be a boy or a girl. As I say, I keep it as neutral as I possibly can. But this is a little sort of stable area at the back of the sort of lots in here. This is directly behind the houses in here. And then we're putting in some steps. I could not work out which kind of doors I wanted for this. In the end I go for these large sort of barn doors, which I think work out really well in here for them. And then get a nice little overhang in here with the roof. I've got to say, I really struggled, so I'm not really a horsey kind of person much anymore, and I didn't really know what I really wanted to go, what this to look like. So yeah, I kind of just messed around a little bit and changed things and did sort of, it grew and it sort of changed and morphed over time into here as well. So at the front here I kind of had like a little sort of paddock field for them, which I thought worked out really well, and then lots of sort of bits and pieces. It's not really that big of a space for the 2 horses, and the family I do put in here do actually have 2 horses, so as I say, it's a little bit of a tight sort of squeeze in here, but I think it really works. Now, because of some of the fencing that I use kind of around other parts of this build, they can just sort of walk out. So I have locked, when I was playtesting this, I did lock some of like the gates and stuff so that the horses or the animals couldn't really just roam anywhere, which made things a little bit easier, because otherwise they were going in like all of the sort of other areas of the sort of farm that I didn't really want them into. But this here is then putting in the cow shed, or it's the animal shelter, but I end up putting in cows in here because that's what my friends have as a dairy farmer. So that's kind of what we did there, and then kind of getting the 2 buildings to kind of look like they work together, and sort of a little bit more cohesive into there. And then lots of sort of barrels. Now I thought these might have like food or other bits and pieces in them as well, so just kind of littering them around this sort of area in here as well. Yeah, just makes it feel really realistic, and that's really what I wanted for this build. Putting in lots of this sort of grasses in here for the animals to eat. Obviously they don't need it in for the cow, but it just makes it feel and look realistic. So I feel like that's something I really try to do with my build, is make them sort of as realistic as possible. And obviously, especially as I was taking at least somewhat inspiration from my friend's farm, and having at least something kind of realistic to makes it look like it really works in here. And just adding in some soil and some mud. There are plenty of that out there at the moment in the UK. Although we have just had a heat wave when I'm actually doing this, it's we're in a thunderstorm warning. So the joys of doing this here. But yeah, this sort of stables back into here. We do have like a little sort of attack room, I think it's probably called, but it has like the state saddles, it has like food and stuff like that goes in there as well. Just kind of random sort of stuff that you would need for your horse really into there. And then a lot of those sort of barrels, as I was scrolling through the live edit, I end up placing some tall sort of cypress trees in, because I feel like they really worked in sort of there to add to that banner in there. But this sort of front space, I didn't really know what to do with it. I knew I kind of wanted some sort of like vehicle kind of like parking sort of area. So that's what we sort of did out here. And then we've kind of got that big sort of building that I felt like is maybe a workshop or kind of an area like a farm office or something like that. Just a random sort of outbuilding at the front here where you can have all sorts of bits and pieces kind of working in that you need just as a farm into here as well. And then we're some prizes and some ribbons and stuff going up on the wall here just to add to that sort of detail work that we get through here as well, because we all like to show off from time to time, and that's what we're doing here. And then just loads of sort of live edit stuff and just random sort of debug world objects coming through in here. There's not really any point to this front sort of section of this lot. It was just a case of lot filler because I didn't want to make the sort of field of crops any bigger than what it already is. I couldn't really change the horse sort of stable kind of area because I'd already done that. So I thought, well, what do we get down in this front section? And I felt like let's just grab in some simple little sort of bits and pieces and get that all kind of mixed in here. I did think about the little tree there with the nice flowers, but in the end I go for the sort of big cypress trees. Here we go in there, and then we get some more at the back here and just sort of filled in, like maybe they've planted them, some have like gone through the bottom and they've sort of dug into the ground and stuff like that as well. And then we get in a big tree in the bottom. This is basically, that whole field becomes like crops. So we kind of basically get all of the crops in here. So like your watermelons, your pumpkins. So not necessarily specified of what kind of sort of farming crops that we get in, but there's enough of them that we can kind of do everything that we really need to in here, and then moving them all around and getting them all in, as you can see here, for whichever ones we wanted in there. And then yeah, you know me, changing a little bit. Right, now we are halfway through pretty much this video. Let's jump on into the inside. So this, I really wanted to keep that sort of light soft wood coming through, but I really wanted a nice lived-in kind of family home that's maybe a little bit messy. Like they're busy, farmers are busy people. Lots going on sort of every day. You're sort of doing different bits and pieces. So I felt like I really wanted a nice sort of busy lived-in sort of home in here for them. So nice little entranceway. Nothing too major going on in here, I've got to be honest. It's just basically a walkway to kind of get through with a few bits and pieces on, and then little doormats inside and outside. I feel like they're probably more relevant than anything because obviously working on the farm you would have lots of sort of mud and stuff like that coming in here. Now their kitchen, I've got it, is gorgeous. I tried to do it as best I could, but you know what this game's like. Kind of limited on the sort of kitchen equipment that we have in here and cabinets and stuff like that. So I've done my best, but yeah. Is it as realistic as I would like it to be? No. But one thing they do have is what's actually called like a butcher's block. It's kind of a big sort of table like this, which basically do most of their sort of like food prep. And that's kind of what I wanted in here. I didn't really want to put a big island in because I felt like that was too sort of disruptive to kind of like the main sort of kitchen. So I just put in this sort of shelving unit in here, which kind of, it works really well for what I wanted. So yeah, that was what I was working towards. And then we've jumped ahead and I've got all of the clutter out that I really wanted. This took a while, I've got to be honest. It was a struggle to find all these pieces, so as I say, I want it to look really lived in, really sort of realistic to what I wanted for this build. Now, obviously we use a lot of items and a lot of packs just in this one kitchen, but it looks and feels right for what we kind of wanted. It's not a perfect kind of home where you don't have anything on the counters. You don't have any sort of clutter anywhere. This is very much a lived-in sort of place into here as well. And then basically everything you can see there ends up on the butcher's block. Now we do have a family dog, because I mean, how can you not, working on a farm like this, you need to have a dog who works the farm with you, and he's sort of your companion doing lots of bits and pieces. But this statue, I've got to admit, I've done this a couple of times and I actually really liked doing it, sort of raising it up here so that it is fitting on the little shelf here. Maybe it's like a knick-knack from, or like just a family ornament that's gone down the generation, something like that. But it's in pride of place in the kitchen here as well, and then getting out a few little notes, post-its to put on the fridge, say don't forget to buy some more milk or something along those lines in here as well. But right, this is then onto the dining room sort of part of this kitchen, so it's an all kind of in one sort of aspect to this, but it feels really right, and really sort of lived in. And I feel like I've said that a lot for this build, but that's kind of it's what I was going for. So I've tried to take as much sort of inspiration from my friend's farmhouse, and they have like a big kitchen sort of come dining room, which they use quite a lot. It's just sort of a nice sort of space in there for them, and we get out a big fireplace in here as well, and then lots of sort of clutter goes on there as well, which just makes it all really nice. Now out the back here we do have a kind of a seating area, kind of in here, just more sort of chill out space for them out the back as well, with other bits and pieces just sort of laying around. There's some plants, there's a washing line and things like that too. But yes, just sort of getting in some artwork here. Maybe instead of sort of pinning it on the wall, they have decided to hang it up here on the sort of mantelpiece, and it just looks really nice, and it's something I quite like doing as well, to kind of get in here for all of my builds. And then especially we can get in a couple of plants here to just again that coziness that we really wanted, to sort of sit by their fire on a cold sort of winter's day, the fire going, having a nice sort of roast dinner or something in here. Be kind of like probably the one time that I think the family would all sit together as well. In here. And now this is the living room. Now I have a slight disclaimer for this. I recorded all of this and then my game crashed. So bits of this didn't save, because I think I saved it just before I moved into this room, so I lost pretty much I think all of this room. I have tried to redo it, but it's not 100% perfect, sadly. So yeah, what you're seeing here is take one, because I was too frustrated to re-record it all. So yeah, I've tried my best. Some of like the furniture's all the same, but obviously it might be in slightly different places and things like that in here. But yeah, so when you see this, and then you'll see the screenshots at the end, there is going to be some differences in here. I think it's only this room and the conservatory which might be slightly different, and that's just because of the game decided it wanted to crash on me. What can I say into there? I don't know why, but yeah, it did. And so yeah, again, not really a lot going on here. I feel like this is probably a really nice big sort of space, but I've kind of made it a little bit smaller, kind of a really sort of homey sort of living space, which they probably don't use, I've got to be fair. But a nice sort of computer area here, a little bookshelf and a computer going in as well, just so that they can do admin or just sort of random research, sort of a nice, it's not necessarily like a study kind of area, but it's a nice little space that you can sit down and do whatever you need to do, and lots more horsey things coming in. So the statue there on the top. I feel like it maybe has been put away out of children's little reach, something like that in here as well. And then yeah, little bits of clutter coming through in here too. And then I think that's pretty much what we do. I do go around and place lots of light switches and stuff. I feel like there's something that I often forget to do, and then at like the very last minute I go around and put them in. So I have done them here, and then I think I've done them upstairs as well. But yeah, we'll see that later on. It's like the same thing. It's like it's one of those things that you don't necessarily think you want until you kind of have it, and then you're like, oh yeah, I should do that, and then you kind of forget all about it. It's like painting the ceilings. Yeah, I forgot that. Usually only when I come to taking the screenshots and I sort of put the camera down low and sort of pan upwards for and I then realise that actually I should have painted the ceilings, but too late now. Here's what it is in here. So this is a little conservatory. Now we do get out a lot of sort of kind of gardening clutter from the Garden Havens kit in here, so it makes this room a little bit worthwhile, but in terms of actually sort of like gameplay, there really isn't anything other than maybe a couple of chairs that you can kind of sit on. There's nothing major. I mean, I could have put out like the floristry set and stuff, but that really wasn't what I wanted with this farm, because it's not a flower farm, it's like a crop kind of. They produce a lot of sort of wheat and things like that, so that's really what I wanted to kind of fit in here. But we are jumping upstairs to the bedroom. Now this is the main sort of parents' bedroom. It's not that big. It was a bit of a challenge. So with it being a small house and knowing I wanted at least 2 bedrooms in here, I mean, I could have made it 1 and it worked, but I wanted 2 and it means that they are both quite small. So I have play tested this bed. They can access both sides of it. So yeah, there's that. And I feel like I've tried to make it as sort of fitting and comfortable sort of space, but I also feel like it's a room that maybe is just slept in. That there's not a lot really else you can do for a room this size, because it is just so small. In there we do have a little sort of bench at the bottom here, but I actually put some towels on it, or some bits and pieces on it as well, just to make it kind of unusable in a way, but I feel like your Sims probably would sit on it. But it's a nice little space that maybe if you're putting your shoes on, if you're wanting to put socks on or something, you can do that in there as well. And then a little bit of detail work and sort of clutter coming in up here, just because again, lived in family home, really wanted a sort of a nice little space here. Lots of bottles, lots of bits and pieces in here for them, and then going in a rug to go in here as well, and then a mirror. And I think that's pretty much it for the main sort of bedroom. I've already done the bathroom and a tiny little chair at the top of the stairs. Again, nothing really special in here. I had to kind of cut some things out to make it fit in here. Now I was originally going to do this as a boys bedroom, but I really love this bed here with a little sheep on it. I feel like it's such a kind of country kind of feel sort of to this bed that I kind of neutralized it all to kind of make it work. So yeah, we've kind of gone for this nice sort of soft sort of creamy yellow, and then we've got in lots of our little sheep bits and pieces. I feel like if you are a young little kid living on a farm, you're kind of used to like farm animals and stuff like that, so I feel like it would be a really realistic kind of room to have in here. Lots of animals, lots of bits and pieces all over the place as well for them. We do get in quite a few little kids toys as well. We get some animals and like stuffed toys in the bed and all sorts of other bits here and there for them as well. I try to make, because obviously this is a small room, I do try to make it as usable and as kind of lived in and messy as I possibly can for them as well, while still making it usable, which is sometimes quite a difficult job, I've got to be honest, but we do definitely get that to work in here. and then some other bits and pieces, some little lunch bag and some toys and all sorts of other stuff coming through as well, in there. But they're very quickly coming to the end of this video, so if you have enjoyed it, then please give a big thumbs up and comment as well. You can also subscribe to me here on YouTube or follow me on any social medias. The links to all of those are down in the description as well. But for now, thank you all for joining me. I hope you've had a good time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. But until then, bye everyone!